Hi, hello everyone. This is Jill Ellis with iResponds. We are about 30 seconds away from our start time, but I see that there are already quite a few attendees on the call, so I just wanted you to know that we're here. Rose Mentry and I will kind of be in mute for the next couple of seconds. I do see that people are still registering, but I assure you we'll get started on time because we want to respect your time. Thanks so much. We'll be back in just a few seconds. Okay, well, hello again. If you have just joined, this is Jill Ellis with iResponds, and we are right at the scheduled start time. And I know there are still people logging in here, but we're going to get started just to kind of keep things moving forward and within our time frame because we know that everyone is busy. But we want to welcome you here today. Our topic that you have shown great interest in, it's actually have pretty high registration today, is social media ROI for hotels. And if you've attended any of our webinars in the past, you'll know that we're all about doing our research, really led by our Chief Innovation Officer, Rose Mentry. She has a passion for this. She's been in industry for 40 plus years, but just really digging in and understanding the data that's out there and then summarizing it in what I would call a thought-provoking way. Again, we encourage you to do your own research, but we're just sharing and summarizing the latest facts. We also encourage, if you have any comments, questions, you even want to add to what we're discussing here, please, take a minute and type that in questions. You can do that anytime throughout our time together today. But if you look at your control panel for GoToWebinar, you will see that there. As I mentioned, Rose Mentry will be with us today. She has 40 plus years in this industry and is the leader of our organization. My name is Jill Ellis. I've had the pleasure of being in this industry for 25 plus years and get the opportunity to lead our client success team. Taking a quick look at our agenda, somewhat what we'll cover today. We do want to do a quick just about iResponds, who we are, not much detail there, but just we're working in a virtual world, so it's a form of introduction. We will talk and look at the facts and figures on social networks, the latest data behind that, the benefits of social media and ROI for hotels. We'll touch on what's new in social media, and then we always like to summarize with kind of some key takeaways because we know that there's a lot of information that'll be coming at you. So as I mentioned, be sure if you have questions, we will answer those at the end, but type those in at any time. So a little bit about who we are. We are a service provider. We're created by hoteliers for hoteliers, and the one takeaway from who we are that we always want you to remember about us is that we truly have a heart to serve the hospitality industry. Most of our team members have been in the industry for, I would say at least 15 plus years, and just we really have a passion to serve that. We do that by offering services to our clients that kind of fall into three categories. There are, hot topics of the day. There is monitoring and responding to guest reviews and surveys. So again, we work alongside hotel teams to ensure that, the brand is represented properly. Brand voice is very important, but also the local voice of leadership in that property. We do quite a bit of posting to social media, so kind of the proactive marketing for our clients. We do that by putting together content, monthly calendars, analytics at the end of that. And then kind of an up and coming category that seems to have accelerated in post-COVID kind of mindset is replying to direct messages. So we see a lot of activity in Facebook and Instagram with those direct instant messages. Instead of a future guest picking up the phone and calling, they prefer the ease and convenience of just sending a message in that DM. So we've stepped into that space to really help support that. And we are very proud of the clients that we represent. We have every major hotel brand that's out there, and of course our independent properties, which we love equally as well. And we've also been very supportive of a lot of the restaurants coming out of the full service side of that. So they have very similar needs, but just slightly different delivery of that. And that is a little bit about who iResponse is. And I'm going to bring Rose into the conversation, and we're going to have some fun digging into the data. Rose?
Yes, thank you, Jill. Thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. So let's start off by looking at social media users in the United States. Statista is forecasting to finish 2020 at 220 million social network users, with a large growth of 75% year over year, which they never thought was going to be possible. But obviously, with the current environment, that has taken place. In addition, they're projected to grow where 3/4 of the US population will be using social channels by the year 2023. So that's only 3 years away. And the other thing they found is currently individuals are spending almost 2 minutes on each day on their social channels actively. So drilling down, what does that mean for our industry? In another study by Hootsuite, they reported that spending dollars by travel industry, including accommodations, is the #1 social ad spent in the United States. What was surprising for me is that the beauty and the fashion industry spends 171 million less than we do, with actual spending of 1.3 million. So why do our industry leads the pack in social ads? And we needed to look at what is the engagement rate per post, for example, on Instagram. Rival IQ reported out that hotels and resorts see one of the highest engagement on social channels. For example, in this chart on Instagram, you see that we have a 1.03 engagement rate per post, and the median of all industries is at 1.22. As comparison, remember in the previous slide, the fashion industry, they're the second highest spent dollars on social media, but their engagement per rate is only 0.68%, food and beverages at 1.18%, and retails at 9.67. They're obviously the highest. So let's move on to the generational and gender behavior on social channels, because we always want to know what's up and coming and who's going to drive the business for our hotels. So Statista reported that women are outpacing men in general. When diving a little deeper by social channel sources, YouTube is the leading in comparison with both women and men alike. And then keep in mind that the music industry, though, is the key factor of YouTube, outpacing the rest of us in use, or rest of the other industries in usage. Second and third place are Facebook and Instagram, where women have a slight edge on these social platforms. And we also included TikTok, the newest hot item with Gen Zers, to share its usage and also to break down by gender of its users. Although it is the lowest usage numbers at this time, we will see in the later slides in this presentation that how quickly that channel is actually growing. So switching it up a little bit, we talk about trust factors and everything, and we know that it has become the bigger issue as to who the consumer trusts to keep their data, information safe, secure, and also return to who they listen to on an ongoing basis with that trust. So looking at these numbers cumulatively, with strongly agree in light pink, somewhat agree in the let me see, somewhat agree is in yellow, and agree is in black. Facebook has become the least trusted social media platform in 2020. TikTok and Twitter were next to the worst, and YouTube and Instagram ranked the highest trusted social platform of 2020. Surround sound building trust in a brand's message. So what does that mean? Edelman research on trust in a brand's message indicates that the more engagement by the consumer with repeated message, so it's the same message but delivered differently across 3 different social channels, the stronger the trust in that product. So this can be due to the trust factor varying in each channel, as we saw in the previous slide, and the belief that if they see the same message at least 3 times or 3 different channels, it must be verified by their peers and must be trustworthy messaging that they're looking at. So this in turn can be interpreted to keep the same message with a different look and feel on several social platforms. This can translate to better results with our audience in gaining their trust and earning their business. So I wanted to share, what that means. So for example, here are two slides side by side. Social postings created for different social platforms. One is Facebook on the left, Instagram on the right. So you will notice that they both have the same image and same exact message. However, the delivery of the message varies. And we base that on the channels and who is being posted for, who the audience is, because every social channel really has their own profile of audience that we have to go ahead and try to attract for our hotels. So moving down on the same Edelman research, as the consumer behavior from highest to lowest, where trust plays the key factor in their purchasing consideration. So interestingly, again, quality and value outranks hotel chain, which is surprising, and good reviews. At 81%, I must be able to trust the brand has come into play. So this can also be the results of our current environment and individuals trusting that the hotel they are considering is going to be a safe stay for them with all the COVID protocols intact. So quality value 85, 84%, and then hotel chains at 79%, and good reviews are at 77%. So that has changed in all platforms. In addition, currently in the US, again, surprisingly, only 37% of the consumers trust the most brands that they use. Consumers are avoiding advertisements posted on social by the brand at 74%, and they are looking at fellow users, which gives them the confidence to purchase. These influencers they follow has a greater impact than ever before with these results. So we're at 58% of the consumer buy the product after they see whom they follow talking about that product. 40% in turn trust that brand, and 33% of them talk about that brand themselves. So that engages more and more people, which is a great billboard effect that we've always looked at on OTA. So now it's also working in social media. The biggest impact, though, is that once you have earned their trust, your brand use can go up by 28%. So now we're going to jump into the hot topic ROI, benefits of social media and ROI for hotels. It's always been a question. So more and more studies are coming out as we get deeper and deeper into social media by all brands, hotels, independent, and so on. So looking that we saw previously in the slides that Instagram has the highest engagement rate per post for hotels, we wanted to dive in deeper to see Instagram's role in the sales funnel of actual purchase. So first off, you can see a healthy 46% closure rate in the sales funnel process, which is that orange. In addition, the results are high for KPIs, as you can see in the other subjects that we're looking for on an ongoing basis. So after seeing a post on Instagram, 79% of individuals searched for more information, 65% of them visited the hotel's website, 31% started following the hotel socially, 29% spoke to their peers. Now, this is a little bit different on Instagram than we just saw in Edelman's research, a little bit skewed numbers, but this is just honing into Instagram. And then it ended up at 46% of them purchasing online or offline. So that's a pretty high ROI right there from Instagram. So what can we do to boost our ROI? So let's look at what social media monitoring and social listening, two different components, are about. Social media monitoring, social media listening, the listening component is more active and strategic, so which includes analyzing the data for insights and use this information for tweaking current strategy for future postings, versus monitoring is to collect the data and details we need to see what is relevant out there for the people posting about our hotels, and look and see what is working and what is not. So when you're looking at boosting your ROI, you definitely need to look at these components, the social media monitoring and the social listening. So a couple of reminders in this is when you're doing those, when gathering information, for example, include mention of your competitors or what trends might be taking place. Have a good tracking system, because without the tracking, you will not have the accurate numbers that you need for future postings. And document every finding possible on an ongoing basis. Set up keyword library and include in them events that will be taking place at a certain time of the year at your hotel or in your area, or it could be a theme park, which will increase your chances of capturing the right audience for your hotel. Understanding your comp sets metrics is very important. Just like we follow the star reports, if your social share is decreasing, that means somebody else's share is increasing. So you can make quick changes to get back on track if you are continually watching your comp set. And to dive deeper, you can start identifying intent on social signals. For example, by adding one word to a keyword related to your hotel might increase your chances of being seen by your targeted audience. Words like recommend, suggest, favorite, best, they all can play a big role in this. So in several previous slides, we saw the study that showed how consumers seeing the same message on several social platforms increases the trust and also in turn increases the sales. So another factor that was reported out by a social media examiner is that by the longevity of a social effort online, you could actually see higher results. So simply put together, this chart shows that at least 2 years of social marketing versus 4 years, you start seeing the success rate. And for example, fan development did increase by 6%, improved sales by 1%, increased exposure by 11%, which is huge, again, for longevity, success of your hotel. Lead generation increased by 4%, increased traffic by 5%, and in addition, it actually provided great marketing insights to the hotels. Another study by Oracle Data Cloud, we find that there's a longer return on campaigns on social channels even after the campaign is over. And this is due to a shorter purchase cycle. So if you have a call to action with an expiration date, booked by such and such date, and get a value creating proposition to them, you can actually run it shorter, but you can do the repeated ads or similar offers, which increases your opportunity to add incremental revenues in the future. In addition, your brand loyalty increases due to repeated exposure that we were talking about in previous slides, which results in return business for your hotel. And then in addition to that, the long-term value that they're showing here, it goes from 4 weeks all the way up to 52 weeks, and it's cumulative. Your value, your ROI should be based on your booking cycles for different seasons, audience and booking windows. So that's why you should be looking at the 52 weeks, not just when the campaign is running. And be sure that you don't forget this when you're doing your social ROI reports. So one question, do we miss out on reporting the true social ROI due to factors that surrounds us? And this study was very interesting. It was per LinkedIn. The answer is yes. They did a ROI study, and this was what they found. The first key mistake that we make is we are measuring too soon, and sooner than the sales cycle. So again, looking at your booking windows. If it's there's short-term booking windows and long-term booking windows, your revenue managers, GMs, DOSs knows what those curves are. So if you don't look at the full measurement, the shorter and the longer cycles, then it's going to skew your ROI accordingly. And it seems that only 4% are measuring their ROI over a 6-month period or longer. The second one is mixing the KPI and ROI metrics as true ROI rather than looking at them separately for what they are. So KPI is forward-looking, predictor of end performance, and ROI is backward-looking informer of the future budget allocation decisions. Third is the marketing under pressure. So due to budget monthly allocations and not making sound decisions based on analysis and just keep posting the same messaging or picture or whatever that may be over and over again, gives you lower ROI. So keep that in mind, that just because it's in the budget for the month of June, you could go ahead, maybe defer that to July, because you definitely want to analyze what you've done in May. Is it truly working or not? And why repeat something and spend more money on something that is not working? Lastly is missing out of self-promotion. And it's interesting the way they worded this, self-promotion, because due to the matrix, due to what we're analyzing right now, and we're rushed into showing results to our people that are engaged in what we're spending, what we're receiving, DOS as GMs, we then make the wrong decisions, and the people that are actually doing the posting feel less motivated to share with their stakeholders because they're just rushing and putting together, and they know that they realize this ROI matrix might not be accurate. So in return, surprisingly, only 29% shares it with their DOSs, and only 30% shares it with their general managers or their finance department who's interested in ROI. So we want to move into calculations. So here's a simple calculation how you can use to figure out your true social ROI. It's your total revenue that you generated minus the total investment divided by the total investment, and it gives you your ROI percentage. But before you get to this final phase of calculation, here are 5 things that should be completed and taken place by your marketing team, by your operational team, before you get to this point. So step 1 is define what value in terms of social media results you're looking for your hotel. Consider who your social audience is that you want to reach. And step 2, very important, set your SMART goals, including specifics of results that you're trying to achieve, and also include a time frame with that. It can include number of email signups per month, boost your social share by XYZ percentage by end of quarter, reduce average response time on social channels by a certain date, and so on. Step 3 is tracking the right performance metrics. Most important for your future decisions, absolutely. The metrics should include the reach, the site traffic, leads generated, signups, and so on, and obviously revenues too. Calculating the full cost, because you definitely need to make sure that you're including not just labor, but the cost of the tools and the platforms that you are on in order to post things, social ads spend time and energy by your team, creating the content, and also creating these ROI reports or datas that needs to be done, coming up with the hashtags or keywords and so on. And if you're also using an outside agency, that might be involved. So you should include all that in your total investment. And then step 5 is create an ROI report. Now, the key here is keeping in mind when you're creating this report for all the stakeholders, what they want to see on this ROI report. What does your general manager want to see? What does your DOS want to see? They might want to see different things. And also include a section of new trends or platforms that are emerging, any pertinent information based on findings with recommendations for future social efforts. Now, so that covers the reporting part, but let's now look at some actionable items you can do to actually improve your ROI. Test and optimize. That is probably the most important thing. You test, you optimize, and then you come up with this new strategy, you analyze, and then you start all over again in social or in anything that we do. So experiment continually with different audience segments, ads, formats, seasons, or events-based messaging. Tweak based on the message or image that results in the highest engagement. Tweak future posts for similar results. New tests might emerge from this and can be an opportunity to add more funds for the greater ROI postings. Adapt and inform. Your strategy over time will need to change. The social media is changing, the guest behavior is changing, and economy is changing. So we need to make sure that we stay on top of that, including your customers' needs too, and pain points of your customers. Are there social channels emerging that with great results, like TikTok? Should you be looking into that? Are your competitors changing their social messaging, and so on? Again, keep all stakeholders informed of changes due to these factors so that there are no surprises for anyone when you're actually coming up with your ROI reporting a month later or a quarter later. And remember the big picture, and don't get lost in just reports on ROI. Keep in mind what makes your hotel unique, what your hotel brand stands for. Everything has to be on brand, otherwise it will harm the brand in the long term. So I'm going to now turn it over to Jill to cover what is the latest on social media platforms. Just a couple of slides to really highlight those. Jill?
Great, thanks so much, Rose. Always that mute button always gets us. We are in the home stretch here. We did want to just take a minute and kind of touch on a couple of new emerging things. I do want to mention that in our webinar last month, we introduced some concepts about TikTok and some data. If you're interested in that, really around video platforms, I encourage you to go to our website and look at the webinar section. We have all of our webinars on demand. This one will be up latter part of next week. So one of the big things that was a takeaway from us and the research we did around TikTok is that, you know, their forecasted growth was exponential, and this was really due to the pandemic this year. So it accelerated that video platform usage. In the chart here, you're going to see the latest report that was shared by eMarketer, US users for 2019 through 2024. So kind of a projection of what percentage of users is going to look like, the percentage of change, and what percentage of the population. And you'll notice that TikTok almost doubled in growth down here from 2019 to 2020. And they're projected to keep growing annually. That's equaling about a fifth of the current US population using TikTok daily. And again, if you're not familiar with the platform, great opportunity to do research on that. Go back to the webinar. We put some ideas for videos that can be easily executed at the hotel level, because right on the heels of this is Instagram Reels, which is competing for the same space. And so again, that video platform is kind of here and it's growing in importance. And we think it's probably going to influence these numbers, may end up shifting, but we're going to continue to monitor that. And there is something new with Facebook. So Facebook has the Business Suite now. This is a new resource to help businesses save time and stay up to date by managing pages on profiles across Facebook's apps. And if you remember, that includes Messenger, Instagram, and WhatsApp. And so they're going to phase these in. You know, includes things like you can post on multiple Facebook platforms simultaneously. So again, that's kind of a new, it's definitely making it easier for your marketing teams. You can manage and receive messages in one place, again, kind of consolidating that. And it gives you the capabilities to analyze what is working and what is not. So it's your one-stop shop for reporting, because as you know, in the past, Facebook and Instagram have had separate reporting, but this is going to be a great dashboard. And as we've heard through a lot of the data and even in our previous research, that Facebook and Instagram are very important to our industry. So we are at the conclusion here of just wrapping up with some key takeaways that we want to leave you with. And I want to remind you again, if you have questions, comments, type those in. It's a great time. But just the key takeaways from what's been discussed today is social media users continue to grow with a 75% increase year over year. The travel industry, including accommodations, spends more than any other industry on social ads. Consumers' trust varies by channel. Facebook is trusted the least, Instagram one of the highest, and trust strengthens once a consumer sees your messages across 3 channels. Rose and I were talking about this yesterday. That's really a very core marketing principle, and it's just applied in a different form of media. So being on multiple channels and being seen as important. So ROI on your social media initiatives takes time. Start by defining your objectives, identifying your SMART goals, tracking the right performance metrics, and calculating spend on social media. Prove and improve your social ROI by testing, optimizing, evaluating new platforms and technology. Just keep testing and trying and evaluating. Cannot emphasize that enough. And ensure everything you do on social is on brand. You don't want to deviate away from the brand because you're getting the most impact by aligning behind that brand voice. So that is it, and I'm going to take a quick look. Rose, I don't see any questions. Do you see any questions? I don't see anything right now.
No, I don't neither.
Okay, great.
So
Well,
we do have our information, our personal information. So if you think of a question after this webinar, please shoot us an email. And we will be also emailing you a copy of this presentation after our next week's same exact presentation that we will be doing on Tuesday. And if you have peers, please invite them or send the invite link that we have sent you. And they could go ahead and sign up for Tuesday's 3 p.m., I believe, Eastern Standard Time webinar. Thank you so much and have a wonderful afternoon.